All righty, here we go. Here we go. We have probably one of the most spectacular shows we've ever done. And I brought Michael Folks in today. We usually don't have Michael on the show except on Tuesdays, but this is such an important topic for Michael and I because Catalina, Michael and I have traveled all over the world, and our number one place is Catalina. Michael will tell you that's where he wants to be when it comes to an end. He wants to be on that mooring ball right there in the harbor. This Catalina is near and dear to both of our hearts. It's been a part of our lives since we were little kids. And what's going on the island right now is criminal. It's criminal. I can't say it in a better way. It's criminal. And I got Ben with us today who knows what actually is going on. We're going to get to the nitty gritty. We're going to talk about the deer. For some reason, the deer on Catalina Island are nuclear. They're a nuclear animal. They got to get destroyed. If you listen to the narrative, they have to be destroyed. They have to be taken out by any means necessary, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of like the sand bass. That's kind of ridiculous. The Garibaldi, they want to stop feeding the Garibaldi. These people are out of their flipping minds. They want to stop feeding the Garibaldi, but I'm pissed right now. Talking to you, Ben, I learned all about the buffalo. I can't believe that in 10 years or less, we're not going to see a buffalo on the island anymore. That's criminal.
Yeah.
I cannot. I'm so fired up. I need to relax. I let Michael run the show here for a minute because every time I talk about it, my blood pressure goes up and I'm pissed, guys. No more deer on the island. Is that what I hear?
That's what they're gunning for. Yeah, I guess no pun intended. So it's always been on the back burner, I guess, for years and years and years to eradicate deer. It's kind of the islands they want to restore to basically pre-European manner as best they can. And since the deer were introduced in the 1928 was the first deer went out there to Catalina, and
almost 100 years.
Yeah, they've been almost 100 years. So, and they're a mix. A buck and two does came down from Modoc County way back then, and then over the next couple of years, they say, at least the documentation I have, 19 more deer came over from the Angeles Forest as younger deer and were put out there. There's rumors of other stuff, and supposedly there's some documentation, I've not seen it, of even whitetails brought out there and they died off, which I find hard to believe. But so yeah, they've been there a long time, and they're part of the history and part of the fabric. And that's when they say, hey, we want to eradicate this species, and to me, they're a species, they're a subspecies of deer now. I know you're true biologists, they want thousands of years of something to remain somewhere, but I would say the deer have had some adaptations, such as the plants are also doing out there. And I believe that within, with management and controlled numbers, because you cannot just leave them alone, because there's no predators, no disease out there. So they will explode beyond their habitat capacity, and, they will starve to death out there. It can get ugly, but we've kept the numbers down the last number of years to where I don't think that's an issue anymore. So yeah, it's something they want to do. They want to kill them all. And their plan is, they started this back in 2023 when I was first informed of it. I remained quiet through a lot of that because I had to. And so I got to the island in September of 2023, and I think we got there on a Friday, and by Saturday things started blowing up, actually, not just because I was there, but the word was getting out that the Conservancy planned on eradicating. So a lot of people saw the protests, saw the news media, the push to stop it. And there was the petitions were out there. There's over 22,000 people now have signed that petition, but there was another one that went worldwide. I believe it had 60 or 70,000 signatures on it. So it gained a lot of attention. I mean, I turned down numerous interviews because I had to remain quiet, from even like LA Times, New York Times, London Times, all the, various TV stations, and college wanted to do an interview with me for a film they wanted to do. So There was a lot of press put out there, and so it did get a lot of attraction then, and it slowed back down because they weren't issued their permit from Fish and Wildlife. So in order for them to eradicate Catalina, all our deer fall under the state's control. Those are the people's deer out there. So when hunters come out there to hunt, they have to have a hunting license, and you have to have the tags. And we use the PLM program, which is called the Private Lands Management through California Fish and Wildlife. So in order to get a Catalina specific deer tag, and what that tag does for ranches, not only Catalina, but other ranches in the state, the landowner agrees to do habitat projects to improve habitat for not just your species you're targeting, whether it's deer or elk. It's to benefit all species of animals, from the birds to the lizards. So you may be fencing off riparian areas. You may be reducing your cattle numbers, rotating pastures, putting in water guzzlers and fencing out springs, that sort of thing, to make habitat better. So that's what the PLM program does. And it's available to all landowners, larger landowners in California. So that's what Catalina is under, is the PLM program. So in turn, when you do the PLM program, you're putting your own money out there to improve habitat. But in return for that, Fish and Wildlife will give you a wider season. You may get to start earlier than normally, and you'll get specific tags to your property. They may say, hey, you've done this work, you're going to get 2 bull tags and 5 cow tags for elk on your property. Then you get to do what you want with those. You can sell those however you want to. You can use them yourself, or you can sell them to somebody else. So Catalina, so all other properties, this is kind of different. All other properties, you want to enhance the wildlife and improve your population numbers and make it a healthy herd. For Catalina, the PLM program has been used to reduce the herd, but to keep it healthy also in that respect, because too many deer is not good for Catalina, because we don't have the predators or the disease out there. But we do want to keep the numbers down to keep the deer healthy. So we do work under that program. So that's how the hunting program works on the island. And it still is right now, even though I didn't go out this year because they told us that all the guided hunting was done, and it was only going to be locals only. You had to be a local resident of the island. Like, you physically had to be from the island to get a tag this year. So they went from 1,000 tags last year, wanting everybody in the world to go out there and shoot deer, to just 200 tags this year. So they're currently, I believe they're done hunting on the 15th of December, which is just in a couple of days, and that'll be it. And then the Conservancy plans to go in. So originally they were going to use helicopters, and that really hit a sore spot with a lot of people, because they use helicopters on the goats and the pigs. And Catalina is a busy place. I mean, there's hikers, bikers, buses, Jeep tours. There's people all over that island. So it didn't seem like that was going to be a good fit. I warned them of that way back when I first knew of it. I said, I assume you will not use aircraft, because we're in a new world now with modern technology, with social media. Things get out there so much quicker. I mean, they used helicopters on Santa Rosa Island, and I believe on Santa Cruz, but there's no population out there to really stop that.
Yep.
They just went in and did that. But for Catalina, it's just different.
I've talked to some of the local residents that actually saw the goat slaughter.
Yeah.
And they're still in post-traumatic syndrome, because they watch these helicopters blow the back legs off goats and watch them crawl to their death over periods of hours.
Yeah, you're not going to make a clean shot every time.
No, it's not a clean shot. They say it takes 6 rounds to kill an animal from a helicopter, and that means that 5 of those shots aren't lethal.
Not in the right spot, correct?
Yeah, just basically slaughtering these animals. It's just disgusting. I mean, like you said, the technology today, there's so many better ways to eradicate if you have to. Plus, you get back to the basics. What's the count? They haven't even done an accurate count on how many deer are. So they don't know.
That's been my biggest complaint in this whole deal from day one, is the deer population, because everybody, all the news media, I don't think they're really I guess they're reporters, but they're not investigative journalists, because nobody's questioning
they're puppets.
How you get at this number of 2,000 deer out there. I don't know if there's ever been 2,000 deer while I've been there, because the hunting would be off the hook if there was that many deer on the island.
Didn't you put a chart together that would have shown
I did.
a population of 2,000 deer would have to look like?
Yeah, I put one of 1,800 deer. So the island has 4 zones on it. Back in the day when they were eradicating pigs, they put some cross fences across the island.
Jeez.
So they said, so zone 1 is that one you're seeing right there. That's the west end of the island. Then there's zone 2, 3, and 4. And so they're saying there's 1,800 deer on the island. So I had a friend of mine put 450 dots in each zone. And now I know on the west end of the island, there are not 450 deer on that part of the island. I mean, from what I've seen, there's probably 100 or 150 left, maybe. So that means you got to remove 300 from there and stuff them in on the other side over there. And you can ask any of the locals who are hunting right now, they are not seeing the deer. And we never have. I mean, if you said you had 1,800 deer, and if in a perfect world, if you cut that in half and then you say, well, half of it should be bucks and half does, that's still $900, but that's not in the real world. That doesn't work that way. But even if you had 25%, you're talking, $450 out there. And geez, there were days out there towards the end where we're lucky to see a couple bucks in a day. And I told my hunters on the last year, I just said, you got to take advantage of your opportunities, because if you mess up, it's not like the good old days out here where you keep going and shooting till you finally got a deer. It's different now. And you blow a shot, you may not be going home with a deer. And so, yes, they do a spotlight survey, and I've done it with them. A spotlight survey gives you an idea, but it does not give you an accurate population count.
Yeah, it's like saying we're gonna measure the sand bass in this 10 square foot area on Tuesday, and there's no fish here, so they're
right. Yeah. And then when you do get your numbers, they would extrapolate those out across the rest of the island. So that just wasn't fair to do it that way. And that's why I've been on them going, please do. This is what I want Fish and Wildlife to do. Require them to do a survey with drones and infrared. There's technology out there. They could really get a better handle on what the population is, but they do not want to, because it'll ruin their narrative. It won't work for them. So.
It ruins their narrative. The Fish and Game Commission reads the script. Yeah. That the leftards are giving them. Yeah. And that's what gets reported. Yeah, right. I mean, it's a microcosm of what's going on in the country.
Yeah, and people run with that number. When they used to tell me, they go, "Hey, we did our satellite or our spotlight surveys. We came out with 2,400 deer." So I would always take that number and cut it in half, and then still subtract another couple hundred more, because me and the guides, we're all over that place. We know what we see out there.
Yeah.
Yes, deer do get smart and they get to hiding and that sort of thing, but we're there for 2.5 months, just day after day after day, going through that country and hunting. And so I know the population. You're right. That's the number one thing I think that needs to be done first, is to then we can decide. That's where management comes in. That's what we're all about, is get this population number and then decide, well, okay, they're having this effect or they're not having this effect. Let's determine how many deer we're going to take next year and make sure that happens that way. It can be managed. They're not going anywhere. It's an island. So we know we can control, and I know we have done. And the other thing I want to get out there too is people come into the town of Avalon. They're like, oh, especially when it's dry out there's deer all over and they look horrible. They're mangy. How could you even hunt those? Those are not the deer that we're hunting. I call those the welfare rats there in town. They're eating lettuce and dog food and cat food. Ones out in the hills, I mean, they're very, very healthy deer. Those bucks look really good in the fall when we get out there. And you may see a poor looking conditioned deer out there, but you got to remember, there's nothing else that gets them besides us in old age. So yes, there are some old looking deer, but they've got around us enough times that we didn't get those, and they just die of old age. So, yeah.
And one of the things I think it's really important to mention, Ben, is that all your hunts, all those animals are dressed and eaten. I mean,
all of them. Yeah.
That venison is taken home as prime real estate food.
Nothing goes to waste. There's a lot of guys.
Yep.
People will say, wow, why would guys go out there and pay a few $1,000s to shoot a deer? That's not worth it. And it is to them because they want that meat. They want the experience, but they take all that meat, and it is Catalina deer are very tasty. They're good to eat.
Well, what's that endangered tree? The mahogany, the Catalina mountain mahogany bush?
Yes. Yep. Well, they only found 7 of those that I'm aware of.
7 of those plants.
So get this. Those plants are over on the Salta Verde side, on the backside, in a place called Wild Boar Gully.
Yep.
It's about 150 acres, somewhere in there, but it is fenced, and it has been fenced with a metal deer fence, galvanized fencing, since 1999.
And that's up just behind Camp Cactus, isn't it? That area?
Yeah, it's over in that area. Yeah. It's back to the east of that. But I've always asked, I go, how have those plants done since you fenced them off, and what new plants have grown in there that supposedly the deer are destroying? And the focus now is it's the deer have destroyed the island, not the hundreds of years of goats, pigs, sheep, cattle, and over all the years that did their damage out there. But now it's the deer's problem. The deer are the main cause of it. So, but yeah, Wild Boar Gully, that tree is in there. Has it expanded more? I've actually heard that it's possibly just a hybrid plant. It's not really its own true species. I don't know if that's true. No one's ever pointed that out, but you hear rumors all the time about stuff. But I took some pictures last year. If you look down that fence line, so there's been no deer, no buffalo, not even humans hardly in there since 1999. And you can't really tell. If you remove the fence, you couldn't tell the inside from the outside, in my opinion.
So you can't tell what side of
the brush is the same. And let me say this too, that there are some plants out there, or a specific, you may see 2 of the same species of a bush, a shrub there. And for some reason, the deer want to eat on the one on the left, but not as much as the one on the right. You can see where they do eat on some of those trees pretty, maybe a little more than the other ones do. But I was just surprised looking at that Wild Boar Gully that it just, to me, looked as good on the inside as it does on the outside, because there's less deer out there than there have been. There's less buffalo or bison, and the deer numbers are not there like it used to be. So they like to say, the conservatives like to say that the hunting program does not work. It has not worked. And that is so far from the truth. It doesn't even make any sense to me at all. Why you'd even say that?
Well, the bottom line, Ben, I think if we just cut right to the chase, is that the Rusacks have built a big winery up there, and the deer are getting into their into their grapes. And
well, they could. It's fenced off now. I think there's 3 separate
areas,
pastures, I guess you'd call them, that have wine grapes in them, and they are all fenced. If you took those fences down, absolutely, the deer would be in there.
Yeah, but Allison doesn't like fences, so she just says kill the deer because I don't want fences on my property.
That's what the rumor is. I don't have any proof of that. I don't know if that's
We don't have her on camera saying it.
The truth, but yeah, it seems fishy. I think if they wanted to stop all this mess with the eradication and the horrible publicity they've received in the last 2 years, it could be stopped right there. She could stop it, Jeff.
All she has to do is say no, stop it, and it's over.
Yeah, it would be over.
One person can make the call right now, and the eradication would be over.
Yeah.
But, they're in cahoots with Newsom and Fish and Game. The commission is, those people are not elected. They're appointed by our elected officials. And guess what? Guess who they appoint? People that are going to promote their agenda, read their script. It's I know guys want to talk about fishing on this show all the time, but this is so important. This is so important to the overall state of our future in the state and country, to be honest with you. Because, a lot of people say as California goes, so does the country.
It'll set a precedent, and it's right in your backyard. I mean, it's
right here.
It's some of the best hunting anyone could ever invent. And that's why, guys, I get 90+ repeat % customers coming back every year, because it's a great experience, and it's fun hunting out there, and there are deer out there to hunt, and And over the years, I mean, I know the hunting programs work because when I first started out there as Wildlife West in 2003, our tag success was in the 90%, usually upper 80s into the 90s. I mean, Ray Charles could kill a deer out there at that point. And, but over the years, you know, we've dropped down into the 70% because the opportunities aren't there like they used to be. And we do know how to hunt the island. The guides that I have, technology helps with. Now we've got all these rangefinders and binoculars and shooting sticks, things that take away some of the, give you a little bit more of an advantage. And we've still been dropping in our success. That's just because there's less deer out there and the opportunity's not there. So, but yeah, as far as the grapes and all that, I know the Rusacks have put a lot of money into Rancho Escondido. It looks very nice there. They've rebuilt a lot of all the buildings there and added some, and it's a beautiful place, and it's got a beautiful view out over the ocean. What they're doing with this, that, you know, like I said, anything I've heard is all rumors. I don't have anything concrete as to what's happened, but I do know that the grapes that are there now are surrounded by ugly fence. So take that for what you will.
And I've also heard through some of the locals over there at the island that the Rusacks have put up $10 million for this eradication process, and there's another $10 million behind it.
I think
resistance. They are committed.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of money to get the job done.
Millions of dollars against a few of us are saying no, it's not the right thing to do, and they're basically saying no, go pound sand. We don't care if you fish or hunt. We're getting rid of the deer on this island. It's my island. It's my vineyard, and I'm getting rid of the deer. You don't like to stay home.
Yep.
The thing is the narrative is going to be controlled by the people that have all the money. But Ben said something that I think everybody here that's watching today, and we have a great audience today, so thank you all very, very much, because this matters. Like Michael was saying, it doesn't matter if it's a fish or if it's a deer or if it's a buffalo or if it's a bison, whatever it is, it's all about us. We the people, gang. And 10 or 12 people that have all the money in the state of California cannot control what we the people do. We cannot let them control what we the people do. And Ben, you said this so eloquently in the very beginning. These are our deer.
Yeah.
They're not the Rusacks. They're not the fishing commission. They're our deer.
Yeah.
Gang, this ought to piss you off. Like, if you're watching it, whether you believe in hunting or whatever you believe in, they're going to eradicate these deer. It's going to happen. They are going to slaughter these deer, and they're going to push them into a canyon, and they're going to rot like they did the
goats and the pigs.
Goats and the pigs, and it was gross. If you happen to have been around back then, it was, like Michael said, it was something that was gross, and they're going to do this. They're going to do it, and we need to make them accountable. There's not that we can slow this down, but we need to be there with cameras. We need to watch this. We need to make this, because I'll be damned if we're just going to set back. The days of setting back and watching it all end, and we stand there 20 years from now and go, wow, it was cool. There was deer on this island. It was cool. There was buffalo on this island. These are our animals, you guys. Wake up.
Once they're gone, they're gone. They're not coming back.
Well, and they wanted to eradicate the buffalo for 20 years. They realized there was just too much resistance in the general population about slaughtering buffalo and slaughtering bison. Yeah. So what did they do instead, Ben?
So I would say when I first started going off the island, there was about 350 head of buffalo out there, say 300. There was a lot.
Yep. So out of the beach, you'd see them on the beach.
They were everywhere.
So cool.
The Conservancy wanted, more deer tags to reduce the deer numbers. So they had meetings with Fish and Wildlife, and Fish and Wildlife said, look, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have a buffalo that's a problem out here. They're no different than the deer. They're non-native also. So they agreed they wanted to reduce the numbers of the buffalo. So they did over 2 successive years. I believe it was in 2007 and 8, somewhere in there, where they hauled 100. They captured 100 buffalo each year and shipped them off the island, trucked them actually to, I believe it was South Dakota, to a Native American reservation that agreed to take them. Which, how would you like to be a buffalo on Catalina in February and then go to South Dakota for your vacation?
Yeah, and wake up and it's 15 below zero.
They don't ski either.
Yeah, to just enjoy the snow. So, I mean, that costs a lot of money. So they came up with a contraceptive plan that I guess had been used on cattle, domestic cattle, but had never been used on buffalo. Supposedly, you could give these shots to the cow, and it could be reversed later on. You could stop giving it to them, and they would come back into where they could get pregnant again.
Yeah, it's like birth control.
Yeah, it was a birth control method, but apparently that didn't work, or it was overdone, or something was done extra. Because, I mean, my thing was, if you're a scientist, wouldn't you just say, hey, we're just going to do 25% of the cows and see how this works? Not all. Yeah. I'm guessing they did all of them because they all quit having calves within a few years. So now I haven't seen a calf. The last one I saw, I don't know, someone nicknamed it Uno because it was the only one that year, and I bet that was 10 years ago now. So we haven't seen anything. So they're walking dead. They'll be done within 10, 15 years, whenever their life cycle.
Probably less than that, maybe 9 or 10 years.
Could
and
be, yeah.
It basically sterilized the entire herd of bison on the island. Yeah. So, yeah.
And they know they did.
Without any fanfare, without any blood, without any helicopters and AK-47s, they've basically eradicated the buffalo on Catalina Island.
And then go
behind our back.
Whoops, we made a mistake.
Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to give them that much sterilization.
So it's unfortunate that happened. And my thing with the deer is the buffalo are gone, they're done. That lineage is going to be gone unless they bring some cows out there to at least.
Didn't that group Los Caballeros put together a package where they had fully bought and paid for 3 pregnant bison from Colorado with all the transportation arranged, everything paid for, from Colorado to the beach and from the beach to the island, and let these 3 cows that were pregnant go, and it was shut down. We don't want to bring any more.
That's the rumor I heard. Yeah, I don't know who put all that together, but I had heard a couple of times that there was a plan to bring some out, and those operations were shelved and they haven't happened. So.
The Conservancy, which is just it's anything but a conservancy, said no.
Somebody said no.
Yeah, the script is you nailed it, Ben, when you said, here's the script, here's the narrative, don't vary it.
Yeah, and all the tourists that come out there want to see that. It's iconic to see that buffalo. The Conservancy's tried to change that to where the little island fox is our keystone species, but people come from all over the world and they want to see the bison on Catalina.
Yeah.
What more of an epic picture of a bison standing with the ocean in the background?
Yeah.
So, and they generate a lot of income off that. And they still, the Conservancy still uses them as a money generator because they have in their
all the inland tours,
souvenirs and things. They still have stuffed buffalo and things you can buy. They still promote that. You don't see any deer stuff, but you do see buffalo. So, and my other thing with getting rid of the deer, once they're gone, they're gone. You're not getting those back. But I think it's really, really short-sighted of Fish and Wildlife. We're at a crossroads with whether you believe in chronic wasting disease or not. We know it's a disease, but there's some different theories on what it really does. But it's here in California now. It was found last year in 2 different deer. It was brought here by humans. So we have that. Hopefully we find out this year that no more test positive after this deer season. But we know 2 deer tested last year had chronic wasting disease in them. So
on the island.
No, in California.
Okay.
Over in the Bishop area. So the argument can be made that Catalina deer need to be saved just in case something happens down the road. At least explore that option. Don't just go, well, no, let's still kill them all.
Well,
That should be a high priority if I was in Fish and Wildlife going, hey, we have an isolated deer population out there with no disease, no way, hopefully not to get out there to them, and keep these for a while till we see what happens and we check our numbers in the state. I mean, CWD could be all over the state. We don't know. They found it in 2 deer, but it transfers at some point, and it's a disease that takes it can take up to 3 years to manifest itself in a deer or an elk. And it's usually it's usually given to another animal by, exchange of fluids, whether a buck and doe do it or they touch noses, that sort of thing, and fluids change. And once it's in them, there's no cure. There's nothing. And once they show signs of it, they're going to die. So they have to be gotten rid of. And it's a bad disease. It's the University of I think it's Minnesota. They did their studies on it. I mean, when a deer that is infected with chronic wasting disease dies into the ground, it actually, it decays into the ground. The prions, the little folded proteins which cause chronic wasting disease, can lay in that soil and can be taken up in plants theoretically and eaten by another animal, and then it gets passed on. That's one of the theories. So some idiot came from another state, and we know we're not supposed to bring brains and spines back into California, but somebody did. And it got here somehow because Nevada doesn't have it, so it didn't come across the desert and get to California. So we have to deal with that. And this is where I want Fish and Wildlife to be proactive and not reactive. In my opinion, they're reactive more times than they are proactive. Now you have a chance, save these deer, keep them safe till we see what's going to happen, because they're not an infected herd that we know of, like potentially other deer in California could be. So,
well, you were saying too, Ben, that if you had a plan that you suggested that they fence off a part of the west end, and then raise that fence so you have no deer in that area, and you study it for 5 years.
Absolutely, why not?
Exactly.
The isthmus at Two Harbors, you can put a fence across there where no one even really needs to see it. It can go across there. You could clean the deer off that end of the island, and then that could be your little petri dish showing, hey, this happens or that doesn't happen. Yes, these deer are destroying the island. Now we have proof of that, but they won't even do that
because they know it's not true.
Yeah, and it's
the facts
would say, hey, we can manage these deer to function here fine, because the other thing is, they're saying that the fires are going to, the deer are causing non-native plants and grasses to expand to where they're more fire prone than our native brush. But we've all seen the fires in California. When the wind starts blowing, everything burns. I don't care what it is or how fireproof it is. It will burn. And
cars burn.
If anything, the deer are doing is they're helping keep that brush down around, especially around Avalon. Avalon is surrounded by brush. Now you look at the pictures of the old days, that wasn't the case. And I hope to God it never happens. I just would hate. It'd be horrible if a fire got started out there.
The fire that happened after they eradicated the goats.
Right. And that was all because they eradicated the goats.
Yeah. And it was wind driven, and it blew all the way almost into Avalon. I mean, it got a house or two or a building or two.
Yep.
And they were fortunate enough to have the wind switch. But
that was a perfect example of what happened when you eradicate the goats.
Yeah.
The goats kept the bush down.
Because California burns. That's what nature does out here. And so it cleans house once in a while, and you don't want to be in the way of that. No. But animals help that.
Yep.
So
I got a question for you, Ben. They keep saying that the deer are destroying the island. Then they say the buffalo are destroying the island. Wasn't the island doing way better when there was 300 buffalo and when the deer just ran rampant and had a good time? Everything. When I was young, Catalina seemed like it was doing just fine. It looked bitchin', man. We would go there on vacation with my mom, and we'd go out in the back hills, and everything looked bitchin', and you'd see some buffalo and you'd see a deer now and then, and it looked really cool. Now it looks, besides the winery,
it's overgrown in places. It depends on which avenue you're coming from. I mean, the plant biologists, they want no deer out there. You're forcing me to say it. The plant Nazis, you're forcing me to say that. They want them all gone. When I went to college, I have a wildlife biology degree. It was more about management and looking at things and doing what I want to do at the island right now is sit back and look at this and get all of our numbers and our facts so we can manage this the way it should be. The biologists are not like that anymore. It's like everything, these colleges and university, I call it woke biology.
Yep.
It's if they're not native, they got to go. If it's a non-native animal or plant, kill them all, get rid of them. There's no studying to see, hey, we're stuck with this or not. What are we going to do? We got to fix it somehow. They want them dead and gone and out of there. And you have to, we've messed up this world the way it is. We have to manage it. We're stewards of this land now. We have to manage it. We have to take control of it and do the right thing. Sometimes, yes, we don't hunt or do something to this particular species, but other ones we may have to, or we need this one as a tool. It's no different than the state of California outlawing mountain lions where we can never hunt or do anything. You took a management tool away from Fish and Wildlife. Their hands are tied. Nothing we can do with mountain lions anymore. So you have this predator that's doing quite well. Don't let anyone blow smoke over your skirt that there's not many mountain lions out there, because there are a lot of mountain lions out there. So I just wish Fish and Wildlife would use it.
In a canyon, Ben, and we had one come down. We had chickens. We had a mountain lion come down and dig underneath the coop and eat 32 chickens.
Sure. Yeah.
And one night he ate half of them and then buried the other half. And Fish and Game says, yeah, that's their routine. They come through every 10 days. They have a route, and they'll bury their kill and come back and eat it after 7 to 10 days and finish it. But this is right here in Laguna Beach.
Yeah, but we can't hunt those anymore. So our state agency can't do anything about that part of that predator on our deer herds, our elk herds, or anything. That's on. Now we have the wolves, so you add that on top, and
they want to reintroduce the grizzly.
Well, and the bear. Bear hunting is. We used to shoot 1,700 bears a year. Now we have one of the largest populations in the world for black bears, and I don't even think we get to 1,000 anymore because they took another management tool away, which was hunting bears with dogs. And so it kept them in check and kept a little fear in them. And so you can't manage wildlife on emotion, and that's what we've done.
You're talking about managing the island through science and not politics.
Exactly right.
And that's California always been managed by politics, and that's why, Dave, I think it's so important that you're on the show today, Ben, because that is what we're facing as outdoorsmen.
Yeah,
you can't ride a wave. That's not natural for you to be on a surfboard. You can't surf in California anymore. That's unnatural. It destroys the whatever.
And those people are fine with that kind of logic.
Oh, they love it. They never get off their keyboards. They've never been on a boat in their lives. They've never hunted. They've never fished, and they're the ones that are making the laws.
Exactly. That's my other big. I was at a Fish and Wildlife meeting the other night over the deer management up in Redding, and I went off on somebody. I just said, I'm tired of people making decisions for our wildlife and for us hunters and us outdoors men and just people who want to enjoy the outdoors, people who have never even been out there, who have learned everything from a book, and they have not been in the blood, the mud, the dirt, the snow, and the countless hours in the field like some of us have to learn and could be part of that process. It's been taken over by, like I'm saying, the woke biologists. And I don't even think half of those guys women could get a truck and 4-wheel drive to drive out where we go. Because I don't think they'd know what to do out there.
They don't know what button to push to turn it into 4-wheel.
No. So they're making decisions for us. And I don't think that's right. I don't like the State Fish and Game Commission. I know that's all appointed, but you need to have a few sportsmen people. There should be a hunter on there and a fisherman on that board, no matter what, as a requirement, not just because you're a political friend of somebody, because they're making very important decisions about our animals and our wildlife and
for generations of us to come.
Right.
We've
been losing ground. I mean, some of our deer herds and places are losing ground badly. And I fear what they're going to do in some of these X zones is they're going to say, hey, the deer populations are really low. We need to stop hunting for 3 years. No more hunting in here. And then we'll give it back to you. And on year number 4, never get it back.
No, you won't.
We'll get it back. So that's my fear is what's going to happen is there. because we are losing some significant deer herds now. We got the wolves here. They're in my county, Tehama County. They're in the backside of it now. So they're spread out all over, and that's just another predator we can do nothing about at this point. So it's tough, yeah. But getting back to Catalina, I just want to see science-based management. I want to see survey work done on their plants. Like they have an exclosure up that they would bring in 2023 at the top of White's Landing, and it was a 10-acre exclosure. It was fenced to keep the deer and the buffalo out after the 2007 fire. Over the years, deer and buffalo went in and out of it because someone with the bright idea made it out of plastic fencing.
I was going to say, it's like 2x2s with some plastic netting on
Yeah.
it. That's a real
So, but they did get those fences, and they've been taking people there. As soon as the news media showed up, they'd take them up there to go, this is what Catalina should look like without deer pressure or buffalo pressure. Well, I didn't realize it because I started doing some digging around. Some of those plants had been put in there, had been brought from their nursery and put in there, and were being watered at times to make them look healthy. Yeah. Now I get it. The plants could grow at some point in there, but they sped the whole thing up. But they weren't being honest with people about saying, hey, yes, we did propagate this on our, to speed things up, but they didn't tell anybody that. They just these are our plants. Look how beautiful this is.
It's all lies.
So you got to tell the truth to people. You can't blow smoke up or, it's just not the right way to do it. You got to be honest. And so I just want to get my side of the story out there, just saying, hey, we can manage this. And like I said, we can fence the west end of the island off, which is a beautiful place to hunt. I hate to see it go away for deer hunting because it's incredible out there and it's rugged. It'll kick your butt out there hunting. Yeah, but then you're doing something scientific. You're showing, hey, this is what it could look like or not look like, or have some options, and do it that way. And then people can at least see that and go, hey, yeah, you're right, that they are detrimental to the habitat of this island. We need to do something, or not, and go, wow, well, we're doing a good job here. Stewards of land, everything looks good. So it's
good by science, though.
But that all goes out the window if it is all about wine and grapes. So,
and that's a perfect example is that Ruseks have a huge winery up in Santa Barbara, right?
Yeah,
and,
it's their
flagship winery. They have permits to kill up there, and their deer permits to kill is 4 times greater than any other winery up in the area.
Really? Man,
yeah. They kill 4 times more deer on their winery than any of the other wineries or ranches up in that area.
And I assume it's not fenced. That's why they're killing them, because they don't.
Yeah, I don't know all the details, but I do know that their permits are 4x over anyone else. So they just don't care. They absolutely.
They're not harvesting them.
No, they're just slaughtering them.
No, not at all.
It's like you said. The kill ratio of a helicopter is horrible, and the way these animals die is disgusting.
Yeah,
it's just
and they're just leaving the meat on the ground. We had our meeting back in. It was January of 2023 when I was first sat down and told this was going to happen. And I said, you've got to recover. If you're going to do this in your plan, recover the meat. And they're like, no, we can't. It's too costly to do that.
Too expensive to take care of the animals.
I said, you cannot do that. People are not going to go for that. It's a horrible thing to waste that meat, that protein. You're just leaving it to rot back into the ground. And, I think that one came back to bite them pretty good too. Now they say that they're going to donate. They'll get as much meat as they can for the Condor project, because from what they have told me, what I understand is all that meat if you're going to give it away, it has to be USDA processed. So that would be expensive. But I said, so what? It doesn't matter. It's the optics of your whole program. You're just killing them and leaving them lay. At least provide meat for somebody. Bring a plant out here and process these deer the way they should be and utilize the meat. But that was not going to happen. So now they'll give it to the Condors, I guess, but they're not going to do much of that. What's it going to be like to haul bodies of deer off the island and haul them out for the Condors to eat? So they're not going to do that.
It's all about grapes and wine. It's not about venison and fairness. Okay. And the thing that really gets me, Ben, is the kills aren't clean.
Yeah.
I grew up
it's ugly.
It's ugly kill, and they don't care, and they just let the animal suffer for days until it bleeds out.
Yeah.
And then they just leave it there to rot.
And as a hunter always wants to make the cleanest kill they can. And sometimes that doesn't happen and it feels horrible. Nobody likes that.
Yep.
And the mindset of just killing them and let them crawl off into the brush and do their own, die that way. It's horrible. It's not right. Us as humans should not allow that.
And Catalina to me is a spiritual vortex. I mean, it is one of the most spiritual, magical, enlightening, beautiful places I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Mount Shasta and Cusco, Peru, there are some spiritual vortexes on this planet, but Catalina is a spiritual vortex. And for us, the citizens, the outdoorsmen and outdoors people that, watermen, to allow this to happen under our watch, it's there's no excuse for it. You just have to get off your seat and make a difference. Dave and I talked about it during the elections. You've got to let your voice be heard. Yeah. And that's the only way we're going to get things changed in this state.
Right.
Like you said, the 4 or 5 families that run this state, it's billions of dollars to fulfill their agenda.
Right. And to buy whoever they need to buy.
They buy or threaten or kill whoever they. Yeah. I mean, the threats are off the charts. You even said you're fearful for your life for speaking.
Well, I'm just like thinking, well, geez, you can get into this kind of deep. You never know what could happen. But no, let's not put that out there.
Talk to Hillary. She'll let you know. I mean, it's crazy that shit.
Yeah, and you're right about Catalina just being. I mean, I don't know how many sunsets I've got to watch dropping in that ocean. That so incredible to get to see and to be part of for the last 25 years. And the locals out there, that there's some great people out there that they do not want this to happen. And so if there's any way I can do any part to stop this and slow this down, and I know I'm not going back and I've accepted that, that's fine. But if I can help that island out, those people out, our deer out, for people for the rest of the time to go see, if I can get that done, or me with other people doing it, because we got this film coming out, Killing Catalina, with Howl for Wildlife, howl.org. Charles Whitwam's putting it together. He's done a lot of work filming, and last night he told me he's getting close to where we can release this pretty soon. So it'll go out on social media and YouTube, that sort of thing. But it'll be an hour and a half long of interviews with Conservancy personnel, Islander personnel, myself, other people that are involved and on the outside and the inside, to shed some light on this, so at least it gets some coverage. And so we hope that'll
and the name of the film is what, Ben?
Killing Catalina.
And that's coming out in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
We're hoping in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I know Charles would like to have it done by the end of the year.
When it's ready, come back on the show and let's talk.
Yeah, we'll hope that it should be.
Because it's definitely
very good.
It's definitely a 90-10 issue. I mean, you talk to 10 people on the island, and 9 of them support the deer.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very few people want these deer gone from the island.
Most of the ones that do are,
and they grew up with all that, and they've already had the pigs and the goats taken away. Which, I know pigs are pretty. Anything can be destructive in too big of a population, but you can manage and control things. So they've had all those things taken away from them. They don't need their deer gone at this point.
They moved the horse stables off Avalon. Horse stables were so cool by the golf course. They're gone.
Well, no, they brought those back now. They're back now.
Oh, they brought them back to Avalon?
Yep.
This year?
Catalina horseback. Yeah, they've been out there a year. They came out there last year when I was going. They've done a terrific job and have been accepted with wide open arms. It's really cool to see that they're getting to do horseback tours again around Avalon Bowl up there and go up and take horse. So people go out there, go on that, because it's just one more unique experience to go try out there on Catalina. But they did get to bring that back. Yep.
And just seeing a bison for most people is a huge experience.
Well, even seeing deer, even my hunters that would come out from LA, and we'd have a bad night where we'd see a couple does or, maybe one buck, and I'd be like, this is not a good night. And they're like, are you kidding me? We saw animals. They go, do you know how much hunting we do in the Angeles Forest just to hopefully see a track?
Yeah.
So just to get to see the deer out there is unique. And there's 8 islands out, 8 channel islands, I believe. They've cleaned all the rest off. go do all your studies and surveys and protect your plants on all those, and as long as the military doesn't knock you out. But you've got, Santa Barbara and Santa Rosa, San Miguel, Santa Cruz, all those islands now have been cleared off. They're doing their thing. So Catalina is unique. It has a large population that lives there, 3,500, 4,000 people, but also was 1 million people a year go to visit. It's not your normal island. It's not, let it be what Wrigley wanted it to be. William Wrigley wanted it to be a place for people to go and see and enjoy. And just your average guy, not the wealthy, rich people, but everybody had a chance to go to Catalina and see it. So leave the history alone. Let it be, is what I'm saying. So we'll see. I haven't been back to the island since last year. I don't know if I'll go back or not. I have no idea what'll ever happen. So we'll see what'll happen down the road.
10 years ago, I was a part of a film crew that went over to film when they decided they wanted to eradicate. Are you ready for this? Catalina Island Conservancy decided that eucalyptus were no longer a native species, and they wanted to eliminate every eucalyptus tree on the island. And they brought over millions of dollars worth of tree cutters and these huge, these barges came over with semis, a chipper that was as big as a semi truck to grind these trees up. And they cut more trees down in 4 days than I'd ever seen cut down in my life.
Yeah.
It was just like they took this beautiful cove that was all eucalyptus line, and now it's just gone. There's no more eucalyptus trees.
No more down there. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things that, if they're going to pick on, there's a lot of non-native things on the island at this point.
Humans are probably the most invasive species on the island.
Probably, yeah. Most people say that.
And that 10% that want to eradicate everything else are the ones that should be taken care of.
Yeah, they should be. Go live somewhere else. Go bother other people.
Go ahead, plant Nazis.
Yeah.
And really, if you think about it, Ben and Mike, if you get down to the nitty gritty, if you think about this new regime over there at the island, they don't want people. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but they don't want people on the island. The first thing that you can look at is how they took away the yellow shore boats that carry 20 people. And now they have those two that hold 6 people apiece. They are, it's like the fishing thing. It's 1 million cuts, just little bits at a time. There's a process right now going on that we don't understand, but they're eliminating the people from the island. They're making it almost impossible to do business on the island as far as a restaurant or a hotel.
It's getting tougher,
They're making it so that their big plan is to have that island for themselves, for the Newsomes, the Pelosi's.
They want it to be Newport Beach, Catalina.
Newport, too many people. They want it to be the same 10, 12 people. That's all that can come on the island. That's what they want. Eventually, they'll get it. It's the long game. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for the long game, gang. And they're for the long game. Like Michael said in the beginning of if you don't see this coming down the pipe, the deer is something. They already took care of the buffalo. That's done. We're done. We took care of the goats. That's done. We took care of the pigs. That's done. Now the deer, and it's
now the deer, the last holdout,
and it's gonna happen.
And it'll just be just another island out there with no wildlife on it. So,
well, Ben, as a viewer, is there something that I can do? What can I do? Where do I go? Who do I write to? Is there an email address or something I can send my?
Oh, geez, there's on the petition for change.org for the petition to save the Catalina deer. There is a list on there that was put on there by the author of Fish and Game officials and politicians with their numbers and their emails. I don't have it with me now, but that would be the place to go, is to go to change.org for the Catalina deer. Change.org. And so there is a list on there. It basically the pressure needs to be put on Fish and Wildlife to hold the Conservancy accountable for this permit that they want. They originally tried to do the permit under a scientific collecting permit, which they could get around doing a CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. So any government agency that doesn't has to do this CEQA. Well, it can be expensive and it can take a long time to do these. So they were trying to get around on that, doing a scientific collecting permit, which is that's not what this scientific permit was set up for. It wasn't to eradicate animals. It was to take a couple species and do your studies and that sort of thing on. So now they're going with, I believe it's called a restoration management permit or plan, that they can get around it again that way. And it almost looks like that plan was developed for this. I don't think it was, but it almost seems like it was developed just for Catalina, because they can go around the CEQA document again. And so that's what they're trying for now. And they put that on their website now. They took down the SCI permit and they're going for the RMP. So
it's all word salad. They're just skirting the law. They're just circumventing what we are that we're fighting for.
Right. If you and I wanted to go do that, they'd make us jump through 100 hoops and have all kinds of permits.
You never get there. The red tape would be so thick you don't even try it. And that's basically where they've got us to believe that there's no way that we as individuals can fight this. Why fight City Hall? You can't win. That's the mentality that they've been driving to us.
Right. And you know, on your mainland, if you have deer problems here, Fish and Wildlife just doesn't allow you to kill all the deer because you don't like them and they're bothering you. So why are they going to give them that option? Because we don't like them here anymore. Well, so, and you know, I always look at unintended consequences of something. If these deer have been out there 100 years functioning with the flora and fauna out there, and all of a sudden you erase that, there may be some consequences that they didn't realize that could happen, that could be detrimental to what's left out there. So I just think everyone's short-sighted. I think it's just the mission is to kill the deer, eradicate them, and then we're good and off we go.
It's all about grapes and wine.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
So change.org. Change.org is the place.
Change.org, and there's a petition on there you can sign that for the Catalina mule deer. Yep.
So if everybody jump on that change.org and sign that petition, it's a start.
And if you want, emailing, the director of Fish and Wildlife, which he's leaving now, he's out of here. Yep. But there are other, region biologists and things that they need to reach out to and just say, hey, we don't agree with this. Force Fish and Wildlife to do the right thing and hold the Conservancy accountable and make them do a population survey is number one for me. That's what I really want to see, and then go from there. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Perfect.
And I think down below that, if you look in the details, there's addresses and names of
22,300 signatures have already been harvested.
Yeah.
And somebody was asking, where's PETA in this whole thing? Gang, if you don't know anything about PETA, it's a payola. They're on the kickback like nobody else on the whole planet, and there's no money in this. So PETA's not coming to save the day. Well, there's no money.
There is. It's kind of a cool thing to see. I mean, we may not all agree politically on a lot of things, but there's a group, the Catalina Humane Society, we're working together on this. There have been a couple different environmental groups that have signed on saying, yeah, this is not the right thing to do. So that's kind of cool to see that we can work together for a goal to save environmental groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but I got to hand it to the Catalina, the Coalition to Save the Mule Deer on Catalina Island. Those people have done wondrous things. There's some ladies out there and a few gentlemen involved with the ladies' boy. They're like rabid bulldogs. They're just going after it, and they are not letting loose. They've done tremendous work, especially that first year in 2023 to get this stopped. They did great. They did a great job to put the brakes on it then. So
and now
it's coming back. So we'll see what happens.
And now it's up to us, guys.
Watching
the show. It's up to us. It's change.org and sign the petition.
Yeah.
It's all in the numbers. We have to unite. And we've talked about this before on the show, Ben. It's like most fishermen have what I call a wheelhouse mentality. My job is to make sure my boat's running, the filters are clean, everything's right. I'm running my trip. And that's wheelhouse mentality. And I really don't care what's going on the beach once I leave the dock. And we, as fishermen, and that's because I think fishing and hunting both are very individualized sports. That it's not a team sport per se. So as individuals, we love being on the water. We love being out in the wilderness. We love, doing the stuff that we do in nature. And this is a time that we have to get behind the keyboard and be heard as a unit, as a unified front. So please, guys, just take a minute, go to change.org, sign a petition, be aware of what's coming up, and look forward to seeing this film in a couple of weeks. Because the only way we're going to save these deer is through a united front.
Yeah, it has to be that. And like I said, Charles with howl.org. So if you want to follow him, it's HOWL.org. And he's doing not just with Catalina, but he takes on things all across this country, fighting these same kind of things that people are bringing in these bills and trying to stop hunting or trying to alter wildlife into their favor. And Charles keeps up on it, and he's been a huge driver in this of getting publicity out. And then some guys, the Catalina Coalition out on the island have done an incredibly good job. And then we've got Rick Travis with CRPA, California Rifle and Pistol Association. He's been there just from day one fighting this too. And so it's been a group of people that have all been jumping in here and fighting on this thing just to slow it up. But I think the biggest thing can be is just from every individual voice out there saying something, putting their signature there or putting their support behind it and saying something, say, we're not going to allow this, you got to prove this to us first and do it right.
Show us the numbers, show us the science, and then we can talk. Like you said, you study it for 5 years and you go, you guys are right. These deer are destroying this island.
Right.
So, but it's not going to prove that. So that's why they don't want to do the study.
Right.
They'd rather
just like the population numbers. They don't want those numbers because they know I'm right.
They're saying there's 3,000 deer. There might be 800, maybe 1,200.
Maybe. I don't even think there's that many.
Yeah,
I mean, for years they used to run with. For a long time, it was 3,000 deer, and I'm like, there's no way there's 3,000 deer. So if you had 3,000 deer out on that island, and just for a really simple math sake, you took half of that population, said half are bucks and half are does.
Right.
So that's 1,500 does that you have out there. Not to mention the buck hunting would be unbelievably stupid, but say you had those 1,500 does, and say you took half of those out of the equation and go, they're too young, too old, can't have a fawn. And so you got 750 does that can have one fawn each, not two, like some of them can. So that's 750 new deer that year, where through the hunting program with my guided hunts and the locals, all those years of hunting, we would average anywhere from 180 to 220 deer. There was a couple years a little more and a couple years a little less, but it was averaged around 200, 220 deer a year. Do you know how many deer would be on that island after just a couple of years at those numbers? Because the number we were killing was not outdoing the number that were being born. So even do that at 2,000 deer, it's still, we would not keep up with that. That place would be a concrete parking lot overrun with deer in no time. Yeah. So I know that there's not that many deer out there because we're not seeing more deer every year. We're seeing less each year.
Right.
So I know the program works.
Right.
But that's a real simple way to put it, but it makes some sense if you look at it that way. That
the numbers don't lie. Science
is not that many deer. Right. And the technology we have, they can go out there and do some pretty incredible stuff with, and they've proven it. And you'll see it in the Killing Catalina, the drones that did go out and look around. It's incredible with the heat signatures. And then they could flip over to RGB and look in and see those deer sitting there, or the buffalo or the fox or whatever it was. It's the technology's there. They just don't want to do it because it'll prove them wrong.
It'll prove their agenda wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Their whole narrative is
it's out of the water, right?
Grapes and wine, baby. That's Catalina's future.
Yeah. So,
all right, we got to wrap this up, gang. So we could talk forever and ever, and we are going to talk forever and ever because we're not done with Ben yet. Michael, thanks for bringing you on today, and thanks for making room for us for Friday. You normally were with you on Tuesdays, so I thank you very much because you bring a lot of relevancy to this Catalina thing.
Yeah. Ben's the one. Ben's the one that
we'll get there. It takes guys like you getting the word out. That's big. You just got to get the word out.
Thank you for stepping up and leading the charge, Ben.
we'll go. Well, there's lots of people leading the charge. I'm just a part of it, but I'm glad I could jump in, at least help at this point, and not be in the weeds quiet. It was bugging me. For 2 years, it bothered me a lot not to be saying what I knew, just to try to say this. So now I feel better. I'm out there.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very, very much. And everybody that watched today, thank you. Sign the petition, get involved. And tomorrow at 8 a.m. at Fiesta Island, the tribute for Mikey, San Diego Fish and Sips. He will be memorized at the
memorialized.
Thank you, Michael. I don't know the right words. He'll be immortalized there tomorrow morning. You guys show up at Fiesta Island. There's going to be a paddle out. There's going to be a ton of stuff. There's going to be food. There's going to be drinks. Get down there and pay tribute to Mikey. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching the show today. Ben, we're bringing you back, so get ready.
Sounds good.